Ayo! Welcome to Benchwarmers, a WOSO podcast episode 24. 24. Shout out to Kiefer Sutherland. Great TV show. 24. Another week in football, another European week. So much football, so much fun. Not as much football for Leggy, to be honest, in the Arsenal realm, but we'll get to some postponements later on in the week. But we'll start with Leuven and Arsenal, the second leg. Basically a write-off, kind of a chalker game, just to get players back into form, which is what Arsenal have been doing, I don't know, I'd say the better part of the last month, trying to get players back into their form, their stride, the Caitlin Fords, the Marnhams, all those players that need to find their form if Arsenal are going to amount to any trophies this season. We need the role players and the excitement and the X factor of those kind of players to get back in. But what did you think of this 3-1 performance?
Look, I think that a lot of people would have probably wanted a bit more rest for some of our key players, but I think that if we had rested those players, we wouldn't have had the performance that we did, which was, again, another really resolute, dominant performance against a team that at least this time put up some sort of defensive effort, had some sort of attacking effort as well. The weather really troubled Leuven. I think Arsenal are very used to playing in really slippery, wet conditions. This reminded me a lot of the Real Madrid first leg game of last Champions League. But I think all in all, this was a game of players coming into form, especially those of Taylor Hines, we talked about a bit earlier. I'm thinking players like Chloe Kelly as well. And then just the continued momentum of Caitlin Ford and Frida Marnham coming into this squad and just completely changing our outlook in front of goal.
I feel like Alessia gets her credit for wherever she plays, but I think that goal where she fakes and feints out the player, makes the finish, that's the Alessia Russo I want to see week in, week out, getting those chances, getting those opportunities. And don't get me wrong, like, we'll get the variety. Renee is not one to centre or shoe in one player into a position, but that kind of finish, there's not many players in the league. I'll talk about it later on in certain other games where just to have the nous to not just take the goalie out of it, but see that it doesn't matter if the goalie's off guard or offline. It's about the speed and the momentum of the game going around the player. And Alessia Russo does it twice in this game with that back to goal, the second goal, the brace. I mean, as you said, a very Stina-like finish, but I mean, the turn to goal is very Alessia Russo. The speed of the play and the catching out the keeper and the rhythm of the game is very Alessia Russo. And that's her signature, is being able to play the game at her own pace, which, I mean, it's quite a feat to watch. And as you've said, her form in Europe with the goals and assists are trumping her form in the WSL in that way. And I think that's a big plus to have.
I think that what she shows in the Champions League is just the ability to really center herself on what she likes playing, which is a quite deep central nine role, but also playing higher up. And I think that what we have in the Champions League playing these teams is the ability to play a lot more Renee ball. I think that a lot of the teams in the WSL like to stifle us more, whilst teams in the Champions League are just so eager to score, to get goals, to try and build some momentum in game, that defensively we've seen, even throughout this game week and the game week previous, goals are leaking very easily. And I think that Alessia Russo capitalizes on that. I think that her technical ability is something that is highly underrated in her caliber of fantastic qualities. I think she really reminds me of, in a men's football perspective, really reminds me a lot of a Lewandowski, who isn't necessarily thought of as a technically gifted player, however, is incredibly technically gifted. And the things she was doing, the feints, the use of the body, all just like top tier, world-class striker performance.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think Lewandowski is technical in his own way, and I think that's what you'd say about Alessia Russo, is that it's not that technical in the way we'd always describe technical footballers. You wouldn't describe her the same way you'd describe De Mornay, but it is technical in her own right in the center of her position. But again, Frida Marnham playing her job. I mean, doing her role really well. I think Caitlin Ford winning the penalty is very Caitlin Ford, and good to see her back in the stead of where you want her to be and playing with the confidence that you'd actually want to see from her, because ultimately that's what if I'm bullish and I'm going to be selfish about the Tillies as a whole, I want them playing well leading up into March, and Caitlin Ford is a huge part of our chances to actually win this thing, and it's good to see her in form because, I mean, there was questions from a lot of Arsenal fans that I know literally looking at Caitlin Ford saying, we've got to ship her off. She's not part of this anymore, but she's making a great case to keep her back at the Emirates, back at Meadow Park.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's all we have for that game. Yeah, it was just a write-off. You're 7-1, you killed them. I mean, we've been speaking about them for so long, we don't need to, but we'll go into the bigger, higher stakes games, to be honest. The Paris FC Real Madrid game, which, look, they looked locked in. This is the Real Madrid I want to see when we get 2 more El Clasicos for this year, because obviously they won this game 2-0, but this game was over very, very, very quickly with a dogzo. We are getting a lot more dogzos and women's. Yeah, it has to be a dogzo. Look, Naomi Feller.
Even though she got the shot off.
Look, the only reason it might not be a dogzo is because it's Naomi Feller, and it's not her fault. It's not her fault. The amount of chances Naomi Feller gets herself into, it's WOSO Nicholas Jackson. Like, she puts herself in positions. Can she score them? Is it necessarily obvious? That's the question. But the pullback of the shirt, it's identical to Szoboszlai on Haaland. Like, it's no different in that way. I think it's a red, but it's a bit silly from what's her name? I forgot her name. Was it Greboval? She was the last offender, I believe.
Yes, number 19, yeah.
Yeah, but God, the Paris FC coach, Sandrine, she was
the reaction?
Yeah, the reaction of her, the speechless. The speechless reaction was priceless. But look, you've got to call that, and then the barrage begins, and then the usual suspects come out. Obviously, for anyone still doing UEFA Women's Champions League fantasy out there, shout out to anyone like myself who captained Caroline Weir, making a -1 and -2, by the way. Like, Caroline Weir, if I didn't captain her, would have ended up with a hat-trick this game, but she missed an open net and then missed a penalty, and then that's just a shambles, but still had a good game in terms of creating chances for players like Caicedo, players like Athenea, players like Feller, where, I mean, Navarro is going to be the key. If they're going to have any chance of getting anywhere close to Barca, I'm not going to say winning because it's just silly to say that, but any chance of going toe-to-toe, it starts with Navarro's whips on the right side. Put the ball in the air, create the chaos, and do what you do best, which is the new Casada ball, speed in the attack through the center. But if Navarro gets it, she can make those deep lying crosses. They've now got Redondo into some form in the league, so if Redondo comes on for the last 10, create more chaos. You need to just create more chaos in what will be a controlled environment for Barcelona. And then, obviously, Misa Rodriguez is going to have another game of her life, which she has been doing these last 4 weeks. I think she's been in some stellar form, so if you're going to give Barca a go, your rivals who don't expect much from you after the last 2 games, shipping 6 goals against them, Navarro's got to be all over Esme, and this is where you can test Esme. Esme is a unbelievable left-sided player, but we know her capabilities and vulnerabilities going backwards. So if Navarro can push her back early on and they can snatch an early goal, you just defend for your life and see what happens. But I think if I'm Casada, I wouldn't be looking at this game thinking this is how we're going to play against Barcelona, because they're not going to give you the luxury to drive through. It's not like there's going to be an early Dogzo red card as well. But Navarro, I feel like, is the key to make sure that Casada can even get a chance against Romeo.
And I think that this has been Casada ball for a while. I think if you think back to Olga on the left-hand side rather than Navarro on the right-hand side, we did see a lot of those connections coming from deep in the back line, driving forward, creating more of a wing-back situation. I just think in terms of this particular game, Paris just gave them the luxury to just spam the flanks so much so that they were just creating. I mean, De Bruyne was on the flanks at one point, like playing.
Well, it's harder with 10. It's harder with 10 players, obviously. Yeah. But you're 100% right. Like, if you're going to play with 10 players and try and hold off and counter, you're going to play narrow. So obviously, Casada's going to exploit the wide areas. I think Angadar was excellent. I think De Bruyne was excellent. I think that midfield performance is the level. It shouldn't be seen as the level in the sense of like what they should, the dominance level that they should should be getting to against a Barcelona, specifically with two out of three of the APA. Though I did see clips of Aitana doing her leg skips, her A skips. Actually, it was her B skips, but it was Aitana skips in my head. But look, it's going to be a tough game. They got to pull on their boots. I know they're the old guard of Real Madrid. They've got to set the standard and the levels and show that, okay, we're coming up against Alexia, Vicky and Patry. It don't matter. Like, this is what we're going to set the standard, we're going to set the tempo, and we're going to find our wider players. And look, you're 100% right. Navarro started this year off to a flyer as she moved from right wing to right back. I thought Casada was a genius, but then she's had this like little, it's kind of similar to Kasparai. Like, she's kind of like done well, but not to the same impact, because I think they've locked her up a bit. But now she's got to open up this next patch of games for Real Madrid are so important if they're going to amount some semblance of respect with 6 El Clasicos. You try and win one at least. Try and get a draw out of one would be, for my opinion, a respect format to say, like, we can do something. We can actually put pressure on this team that has been killing us for years, bar one game that didn't really matter.
Yeah, so the last time that these two teams went up against each other in the Champions League final was 21-22, I believe. And so at that point in time, it was a very different look of Real Madrid.
That was a knockout game, yeah? That wasn't a fight. Knockout.
That was a semi-final. And that was the big El Clasico game, the big Camp Nou, like incredible, spectacular game. And that game showcased how these two teams in big circumstances, when time comes, they can be on equal par, whether that be technically the one team is a bit better and then another team just rises up to the occasion, or whether that be that these two teams are finally kind of evening each other out. I don't necessarily think that that's going to be true in this particular game, just given the fact that they've played, 3 or 4 El Clasicos this season, and Barca have completely dominated all of them. But, I mean, over 2 legs, you don't know. I think Real Madrid may be able to get some result in one game, but I think over the 2 legs we've seen Barca over 2 legs, it's really impossible task at the moment.
Yeah, so this will be number 4 and 5, and then if they meet each other in the last cup final, that will be 6, which is an immense amount. It's a crazy number. It's going to be the question: are they going to be more WOSO El Clasicos, or are they going to be more Menso Man City versus Newcastle, which is going to be 7 games potentially if they meet each other in the Champions League for another 2 games.
It's just becoming the old firm.
It's just exactly. I mean, the older firm. Yeah. But yes, that kind of wraps up our Real Madrid chat. As we move into Juve versus VFL, a game with so much on the line, especially after the 2-2. I feel like Juve came into this game with a semblance of confidence coming back home, but this was the Stina factor game. And I'm not talking about Black Stenius. I'm talking about Johannes, Spider-Woman, crazy player. Unbelievable performance from the goalkeeper slot. I mean, what was it? 9 saves from 26 shots, 11 on target. I just can't believe what happened. It was absolutely insanity. The some of the saves she was making, some of the returns she was getting, the rebounds, the recovery, she made it look so easy. And between Bakari and Godo and like Jurelli, Vangsgaard, Krumbeigel coming on in the 67th minute. There was this beautiful patch of play. I feel like what's it called? Kunzi brought it up in his head that all these 3 players would come on and play it to each other, and then they'd score. And Vangsgaard puts it bottom left corner, and still Stina Johannes saves it. And it's just one of those games where, look, like, I'd love to say Juve would love to replay that game, but what more can you do? They had so many good chances. Sometimes you just get beaten by a better goalkeeper, and that's just what it is, really.
I think that what Wolfsburg were able to do on the contrary is obviously be more clinical, but furthermore, they were able to attempt at least to exploit what I believe has been multiple midfield mishaps in Juventus, and then obviously the defensive mishaps, and they can easily include those of ball watching, completely mistimed matching running. I mean, there are times in the game where I'm thinking they're just ball watching, just for fun. They're just wanting to see Juve and their lovely passages of play. But sorry, Wolfsburg and their
Yeah,
lovely
Wolfsburg. Yeah,
passages
yeah.
of play. But I think the player that to me had a standout game was Enderman, and I think that she's had an incredible patch of form. I think she was a player that was on my radar 3, 4 years ago as a
You were
potential.
Enderman
I
pilled
was Enderman
always.
pilled always because I always thought of her as the natural the natural person to take over from a Yuli Brand position, who I always thought would leave Wolfsburg. And I think this game and I think this Champions League run that she's had has proven so. I think that she can be the easily predecessor of Yuli Brand.
I think it's interesting because Yul Brand is such a line hugger in some ways, whereas I think Enderman loves that cross run
Yep.
across the defender, gets in, that, I mean, we talk about it as a trend, but the Hazard step, like the
Yeah.
whole thing, getting in front of the player, making sure that even if they don't get in front, they get the foul. I mean, the transition play that Lurch was playing, it was like a completely different team. It was quite impressive the way they were moving the ball around, but I'm going to shout out the two substitutes, Zakai and Bussy, to kill the game. That strike from Zakai is absolutely that. I think of all the, and there's been some unbelievable goals, and we'll get to all of them, of the ones we saw, but that strike is my favorite of the lot. That's a one-touch strike, pass to it, edge of the box. De Jong is standing near post. She's gone for the curler near post, and it's gone crossbar and in. There is absolutely nothing you can do about it. And you know what really bugged me is that the comms did me so dirty on that goal. Like it was like, oh yeah, like they've won the game, they've killed it off, like Juve are out. Just don't stop talking about Juve. This is Zakai's moment. And actually I do want to mention this for the whole of the UWCL comms, by the way. Like there was in the comms for that moment where Jirelli, Vangsgaard, Krumbeigel team up for this beautiful moment. They go, wow, brilliant combinations between the two substitutes. It was three. It was all three of them. It was a perfect moment, and it was literally as they came on. And then the one in the Arsenal game where Lessie had that open chance, and they said, oh, Lessie had this amazing opportunity to get a third goal. Oh, I think it was her second goal, actually. It was saved by the goalie, and they kept talking about Lessie. I'm like, did you see the save that this Leuven goalie has just made? I'm like it's not a missed chance by Lessie. It was a perfect strike. It's just like we're so hyper focused on the team that's either down or the team that's way up, or like the focus on the marquee players. It's like, just give the respect to the players who've made the amazing moments, the amazing highlights. And I think it's just, I don't know, it comes from like going back to the play and having that moment again and seeing it for a second time. But ultimately, that Zakai moment for me is like moment of the week. That is just a sublime shot. I could watch that over and over and over again.
Do you think that the clinical-lessness, I should
Yeah,
say,
the
of
less
someone,
clinical nature.
yes, of Bernstein will be a deciding factor in their game against Lyon, because I think she had what,
Oh,
3, 4 very clear-cut opportunities, 1v1, and they were
yeah.
given to her on a platter by players around her who you'd expect if they were given that opportunity to score. But it always falls to Bernstein. She has the Swedish gene despite her being from the Netherlands.
Yeah, Berenstenius. But for me personally, I mean, I have to apologise to all the Benchwarmers listeners that I said that the Berenstein purple patch has begun, because the patch is rotten right now. The patch is not isolating very well. But look, I'll be honest. I would love to say that AP, not Alexia Putellas, Alexandra Pop, could play in the 9 and do the business against Lyon, because you know what? She probably could. Like, if you just juiced up Pop, get the electric chair out, like shake her till she's 28 again, and then get her to kill off Lyon. That would be my dream. But I think VFL's season lives and dies with Berenstein. Like, this is it. Like, we need the best of her. And look, she had moments even in the 3-1 loss, there was that goal. She did have moments to get on the back, probably end up with a brace in that game if she was her clinical nature. But look, it's all on her. She just has to get one. And then one always turns into 2 or 3. But Lyon aren't going to give you the easiest chances. We know this. It's not about the amount of shots you get against Lyon. It's about the quality of shot. And I think they are going to slice you, they're going to dice you, they're going to control the ball. So let's say it's a 90-minute game. The chances of VFL having the ball for more than 20, 25 minutes in this game is relatively even money. Like, I think I'd go over-unders at 25 minutes, to be honest, the way Lyon have been controlling the ball in the other games. But I hope they just make the first leg quality. They make it comfortable. They make it, if it's 2-1 loss, if VFL lose 2-1 in the first leg, I'd call that a win, because then they can put the pressure on the second leg. But just don't get iced out. Don't get 3-0, 4-0. Don't get killed off early, because it doesn't allow you any space to be able to come back, and that means that Geraldes can come in to the second leg, set up 5-7 behind the ball, and you'll just never cut through. So you'll do what Arsenal just did to Leuven. Like, you need to be in the game. It doesn't matter if it's 3-1. You need to earn the respect of knowing that you can score against them, firstly, and secondly, that they're not just going to score goals for fun. And I think that VFL will give them a better game. Whether they win the game, I mean, look, I'd be backing Lyon to probably send their tickets to Oslo now. I think they're going to be very, very tough to beat. I'd actually see Barca maybe struggling against them in the final. The way the completeness of their performances and the comprehensive nature of their volume, especially. I mean, anyone watching De Mornay, we'll get to the coup de France later. But my God, she's glue on her feet. No one can go near her. And it doesn't matter what level she's playing against. But we'll get to that eventually. We are going to move to the other game, Atleti and United second leg. They're already 3-0 up. I didn't think this was going to be any sort of mount or comeback. Look, Jensen had a few chances this game. I'm not going to sit here and say that she didn't, but Tullis Joyce is, I mean, it's annoying how good she is, to be honest. She's a world-class goalie. She is a high-impact player. She will get those minutes for the US women's national team as a goalkeeper. All you need is to have more minutes than anyone else as the US women's national goalkeeper, and you are a high-impact player. So I don't see you going to the NWSL anytime soon, Phelan, because I think you'll be worth too much. But, I mean, everything I've said about Zigiotti comes into fruition in this game. I said she's the most important player. I said they need to get her foot further forward for her box-crashing runs and her strikes, because, look, she's the last player I want shooting the ball for Manchester United. The low-driven, hard efforts, left foot, right foot, it doesn't matter how good she is at finding gaps and angles. And the second player you don't want shooting the ball for United is Jess Park. And that strike is just, I mean, it's enough to make a grown human being cry, to be honest. I mean, look, she wasn't going to get a game. She wasn't going to be able to do that for us. And look, I think she would be in the same position that Grace Clinton's in right now, where she'd be sitting behind Viv. But that strike is everything you want Jess Park to be doing. Shame she's doing it for Manchester Red, but like that is a sublime strike. And look, it's not the first. She does it a lot. She did it earlier in the week against LCL as well. Not the same strike, but obviously someone
A drive and run.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, drive and run and strike compared to this one, edge of the box, having the space. I don't know why they've given her so much space to strike it like that. But you know what? It's one of those moments where I'm just thinking to myself, if I'm Ella Toon, I've got to be working my socks off to get back in this team, because, look, I don't know if Mark Skinner is meritocracy Mark, like the same way that Serena Weigman is, but I think personally, if I am Mark Skinner, why would you be messing with the formula that you've got right now between Miyazawa, Zigiotti, and Jess Park? I don't think you can just throw all your best players on an 11. Look at Nelson's form at the moment coming into these games. She was actually given player of the match in this game, I believe. And, like, Ella Toon is falling behind the quota of what you need to, the pecking order of what it means to be a Manchester United player at the current crop and level that they are now, and it comes into the same play for players like Vangerheim and players like Turlin versing against Leah Schuler, who, I mean, I actually thought that moment where Zigiotti pings her and she chests it down, takes it away from two defenders, like, that's the Leah Schuler I know. That's what she is going to build into that form. And now that they're coming up against Bayern, there's going to be a little bit of grit in her teeth, Leah Schuler, and I think she's going to have a big part to play in these two legs against her old side.
Back on that Jess Park Ella Toon form, I don't even think it's necessarily that hot of a take to say I don't think I've seen Ella Toon play in this level of form ever.
Yeah.
I think Jess Park is playing at a far better level, at a far more clinical level. I think and now I'm not a Manchester United fan. I don't know the behind the scenes of her leadership, but the way that Jess Park is carrying that midfield and that attack, like it is a way that I've not seen Ella Toone do for an extended period of time. This is Ella Toone that I always, in the back of my mind, think of a 2022 substitute performance for England at Wembley. That's all I think of. And that might be offensive to her FA Cup performances. That might be offensive to the times that she's scored winning goals for Manchester United as their captain.
And
But
England as well.
and England as well. But I just do not think that she's reaching what Jess Park is doing right now. Jess Park is going from an outcast in the England side that got rubbish minutes against Wales to, I believe, should be a starter in the England midfield.
Would you put her in the 10? Would you put
I'd put her in the 10.
straight up
Honestly,
there?
I'd
Yep.
put her anywhere in the front line. I think she could do a job anywhere in that front line.
And I don't disagree. You hear Serena, I mean, we're not going to really do international teams this week, but like you hear Serena talking about certain players not getting in because of their lack of minutes. Ella Toone is injured. Like, you can't just get in off. Look, I've seen Ella Toone batter the Tillies. I've seen Ella Toone batter Man City more than once. It's a painful sight, and she can win games on her own. She's a proven match winner. And that's where our argument comes in, is that match winners versus form creations and performance masters, we're always going to go with the performance master. We're going to pick the Jess Park over the Ella Toone. We're going to pick the Liv Smith over the Kelly, the Chloe Kellys of the world. Like, that's what we see. And I understand that there are many Manchester United fans and many Arsenal fans who will disagree with us. Like, that's so normal. But for us, I just don't see how you can take Jess Park out of the position she's playing. Even putting her deeper, I feel like, is a disservice to how good she's playing in this freer 10 role and how aggressive she is. But, I mean, Atleti just didn't really get back into this game. But the big news is that Anna Sandberg is injured. 6 to 8? 8 to 10 weeks? Yeah, which is a huge out. You watch any United games, the way she plays, how integral she is to their build-up, the invert she has, I'd argue her importance to the back line is as crucial to it. I mean, I was going to say Rivier's probably the better fullback at the start of the year, but now you could easily argue that Sandberg's the most important flank player that they have, and then also makes sure that Jensen or Maya Letitia gets the cover that they need on the back half, which is why what I'd say, like, Esme is far better on the left side as an aggressive player in the front, but I'd say Sandberg's defensive efforts are far superior, and I think she can play, like, she sometimes gets exposed when she goes too far forward, but that's not a nous on her defensive capabilities, that's just football IQ. And I think without her, having Gabby George or whoever their replacement is, look, if I am Bayern Munich, I would be giving that ball to Linda Dahlmann or swapping the wings and chuck Clara Bull on the right side and see what happens, because you know what? Clara Bull is hungry for assists this season. And
for me, the biggest problem for them will be Julie Gwynn. I think that she will absolutely dominate on that right-hand side. And I just don't think, whether it be Millie Turner, whether it be Jensen on that right centre-back side, there is absolutely nothing that they can do, really, in my opinion, because of just how poor they are in comparison to the left-hand side and how much they'll miss someone like Sandberg.
And we'll come back to that when Millie Turner gets player of the match against Bayern in the first leg, and we feel like crap, because you know what, Millie Turner's not terrible. It's just we know the level that they have to come up against in Bayern, and Bayern look like a machine at the moment when they play football. But that is all we have for the Champions League. I mean, we've got a little bit of time till the quarterfinals, so we'll do our previews then and there. Obviously, Leggy will convince me that Chelsea are an institutional failure, despite, I mean, to be fair, I mean, it will be an exciting quarterfinal. Don't get me wrong. I'll get my popcorn ready. I'll be in my city.
Yeah, because you have nothing to stress about.
I have nothing to stress about. Europe, who? But we will move to my team now in the English WSL, as we pumped Leicester. I mean, look, I'll say pumped. First 10 minutes, I was very nervous. Alicia Lehman and O'Brien hitting the posts. The post and the crossbar, to be honest, and I was very much like, oh my god, this is the Arsenal game all over again. We look stressed, we look nervous, but as soon as the first goal went in, the nerves disappear and the floodgates open. Obviously, I mean, my fantasy skills are just genius. I got rid of Lauren Hemp for Carolyn, and Lauren Hemp decides to put on an absolute masterclass, a brace of assists, 11 chances created, which is, I swear, I haven't looked this up. I'm telling you now, more chances created from Lauren Hemp in this game than her last month and a half of football. I'm not even joking. Like, we roasted her for her aerial crosses. She must have taken that personally, because her aerial crosses in this game to Viv and to Bunny were perfection. Bunny, by the way, that header is not a Bunny Shaw header. That diving low,
that's like an Alessia Russo.
That's an Alessia Russo header. That's an Alexander Pop type header running onto it. Even I would say early days prime Viv header where you go low and hard. But that is Bunny's 28th headed goal in the WSL. I mean, what more can you ask? One of the greatest aerial strikers in the world. But also Andre Yeglert's listening to the pod. Shout out AJ as Sam Coffey gets her first start. And her performance specifically, I mean, firstly, I thought she played great. Yes, she's more that holding water carrier role, making sure that everyone can progress forward, but it's what she means to Yui Hasegawa, because Yui Hasegawa, I mean, they gave player of the match to Lauren Hemp, which is perfectly right, but you could have easily made an argument for Hasegawa. The aggressive box crashing runs, the plays, the amount of freedom Viv got to go forward because Sam Coffey was sitting deep, running forward later on in the game. Megan players, I mean, the arrogance that Sam Coffey plays with. I mean, it's definitely American, but it's also just like that's what I want to see. I mean, this is the first Yank I like playing football. I like in my team. Like, don't get me wrong, we've got our history, we've got Carly Lloyd and all that, but I'm talking this is the real deal. I think if we're going to win the league this year, she has got a huge role to play in that deep lying playmaker slash like she can play the box to box. She can switch with Yui if they want to rotate, if they want to be a double pivot. But I'm happy with Coffey behind the ball for the moment. Just ease in, get your patterns of play better before you start getting too aggressive. But we got to mention Viv's flurry of 2 goals. I mean, that's that Alessia Russo thing. That shot is just out of nowhere, catches the keeper out. Didn't have to be in the bottom left corner. Yes, it would have been great if it was, but I just didn't see the shot coming. I was like, oh, all of a sudden the ball's in the net because Viv's stolen it and shot. She's tackled and shot at the same time. And it's just to have that football IQ is something, I mean, players dream of. I mean, that's a coach's dream if you're Andre Eglert. You can't teach that personally.
I think that when I mentioned before about you guys looking like a really prime Chelsea in terms of the league form, I think that this is the type of game I'm talking about. Just in terms of being able to put away 6 goals against a fellow WSL side, no matter their position on the table, just goes to show that your avenues to goal, as you've talked about with Yeglerts, the way that you are showing up to these games, you're not being, I mean, last week was its own blip, but you're not being complacent. And I think that that's one of the things that is a trademark of WSL champions. I think if you look at Chelsea for the last 6 odd years, they haven't been complacent up until very recently. And so, and that is what's made them champions. And I think the real challenge for you guys will be to see how you will bounce back, because I think it's pretty assuredly means that you guys are going to win the league this year, just given the fact of the points. But the whole point is in the WSL, we've seen dynasties, we've seen just like teams just completely take over this league. And I'll be interested to see whether this is a full kind of equilibrium in terms of how teams are going to be able to challenge for the WSL, whether it will be a 4-team title race next season, or whether you'll go on and have doubles and trebles of victories.
I'm not like you. Look, I'm not like you. I take one trophy at a time. I don't ask for more than one because I think it's. Look, I'm the guy who wants us to leave competitions so he can win other competitions. That's me. I'm a Ange pragmatist. But for me, I'm not ruling out. I'm not saying the league is done until I see Kiara Keating in goal doing her job, right? Ayama is going to go to the Asia Cup, which means there's going to be 3-4 weeks where Kiara's in goal.
And Yui as well.
And Yui is gone as well. Everyone says no Yui, no City. I would argue no Yama is dangerous. Yet Mary Fowler's a big deal, but she hasn't been playing. She hasn't been a part of this dynasty of this season. But I think Yama is actually a bigger loss than Yui, personally. I think Coffee will provide the cover we need in midfield. If it's Coffee, LBB, Viv, very, very happy. I think that will be a very nice structure. Or even Clinton. I don't know what Clinton has a part to play in this league. Yeah, she'll be a huge part of this season and this back half. This is the nitty gritty games. This is when it actually matters. It's all been fun and daisies and beating Manchester United 3-0 and beating Chelsea 5-1. It's great. This is where it matters. So I'm not saying the league is done. I'm no Sonia. I'm not saying it's pretty much done. It's done when it's done. Yeah. And for me, Kiara Keating in goal. I've seen the best of Kiara Keating. I've seen the not best of Kiara Keating.
Same.
And personally, I don't know which Kiara Keating we're getting. I haven't seen her play in quite a bit of time other than cup games. And if she's at her top form, we win this league. We 100% win this league. And I back us to be able to give Kiara the support. And I'm sick of Manchester City fans complaining about like being scared about it. I've seen Kiara Keating hold her own against primed up Barca. Yeah. Like this is not a bad goalkeeper. It's just a confidence player, and we just need to get behind her, make sure she knows that she is going to be a pivotal factor in us winning this league. And I'm so excited for her because she has a chance to rewrite some of the things that have gone wrong for her in the league, specifically that season. That, I mean, yes, you can argue we probably should have won the league that day, but again, it happens. This is her time. This is her time now, and Yama's done her job. Now it's time for her to do her role and her part, and I'm excited for it, to be honest. Yeah. But, I mean, if we go back to this game, I mean, just really quickly, I mean, Viv's header was actually quite bunny in her standing jump and header. And then Carolyn sets up Uwe with that box-crashing goal 2 minutes into the second half. Carolyn does that huge strike. I mean,
that's the goal of the game.
Yeah, that was probably the best goal. I mean, O'Brien does get her hands on it, but he's just too strong. And then Uwe and Fugino's press later on in the game as Fugino gets her goal from the subs. Bunny had a one-on-one, definitely should have scored. Don't know. I mean, I actually do know why she didn't score. It's because I triple captained Bunny. How dare my players actually do well for me? It's just cruel. But we will move into your game. Oh, wait. No, we won't, because Arsenal-Brighton was called off. Why was it called off, Leggy?
Because of a waterlogged pitch, Ben. Because it's Sunday League in the WSL.
Because Shrek was there and was like, "This is my swamp."
My swamp. Yeah. Look, if you actually go online and you see the pictures, I can totally understand why.
Oh my god, it was a shambles.
I would not put my worst enemy on that pitch to play for football.
Bear Grylls was there. Man versus Wild.
No, but I mean, the ramifications of this obviously means that we now have 2 games that we have to make up, the game against Leicester and now the game against Brighton.
Dangerous.
I think that it's dangerous, yes, but I also think that we have the squad for it. I think that Leicester more so than Brighton is a game that we can pretty much use our second string side for. But I don't know. I think this is more a problem for the WSL to fix than, a problem of the day. It rains in England. We know this. What are the procedures? Because this would never happen in the Premier League.
We mustn't forget it's been raining. But yeah, exactly. For anyone out there who gets that, I mean, you should, because if you don't get that and you're watching us, I don't know what you're doing. But personally, I mean, my thing is that the fans who are most happy about this are Chelsea, because your load management is going to bear out into March. So you're going to be tired, you're going to be stressed, you're not going to be feeling better on Swiss. But personally, I think you have to save up for Chelsea. You got to play your second squad in these 2 games. If you truly think there's a title race as a part of this when you're 7 points behind, then sweet, you've got to put your best players under that load and trust that they can get it. But if you don't think the title's there, then chuck your second squad in. If you win it, you win it. If you don't, you don't. Focus on the Champions League. Retain your own defensive trophy, because let's be honest, you can play the underdog card all you want. You are the defending champs, and you should beat Chelsea with the form that they're in. Personally, I don't see you as the underdogs in this game. I know a lot of Arsenal fans who do. They're like, we're not expected to beat Chelsea. You are. You're the champions.
I don't know who's saying that. No one's saying that.
No. But like, I see discourse here and there, and they're like, Chelsea have pedigree. They don't have pedigree. They don't have pedigree in Europe. They don't have pedigree over Arsenal in anyway. And there should be no expectation for you to be like, oh, we will be happy with, like, you should be in the final. This is a team that should be in the final because of the squad, the way you're playing right now. It's all like, yes, it's going to be a big load, but I back you in to, if any team can do it and can like warra their way through like a crazy fixture schedule, it is Arsenal Women's Football Club. To the United game quite quickly. I mean, United beat LCL after a shoddy start, to be honest. I mean, let's just say that Nikita Paris, despite being Kang-pilled, still reigns Manchester is blue, because she did start the game well. I think Freya Godfrey started the game well, but then, like, again, this is what happens. This is what good quality sides do. This is uncharacteristic of United in certain ways, where they have built into this better club. They are better than the pack. They are better than the Tottenhams of the league. And don't get me wrong, Tottenham will make their mount for the top four. But when United do this, where they have games where they don't look like winning and just pull results out of them because Jess Park wills her way, and she talks to her teammates and goes, we aren't losing this game because I can do things like this. And then Millie Turner is scoring winners, and like, it doesn't matter who's getting the winner, it's just United deserve the win, and Mark Skinner deserves the win because of the pressure he puts on sides, because of how miserly the chance creation against United is, like making sure that the shots aren't easy to get to or the chances are low percentage. But Jess Park got completely ghosted out of the game for what, 25 minutes, and then this is what she does. You give her any ounce of space to take the ball on, and she is one of the greatest at doing this kind of thing.
There was a bit of squad rotation in this game. I think that the obviousness of Zigiotti was evident from the start. I think, like, I don't even think it's midfield wise. I think, like, technically she just gives a standard to Manchester United that they just didn't meet this game. I think LCR outplayed them in the first minutes of this game. I think there were patches of this game where at the back they weren't able to even get it out of their own half. They were really scrappy. I think that obviously that led to Tellis Joyce making a few mistakes. I also think that
Paris should have scored that, in general, by the way. That little bump and like that bobble, that's like the worst thing I've seen Tellis Joyce do this season. I'm not gonna lie. Like, no, that was very uncharacteristic.
Her aerial work has been pretty poor this season. That's
true. That's true. But I just think of, like, with the feet, like with her feet, I think she's been quite competent, quite solid. I've never seen her bobble a ball like that so poorly. And Paris, I don't know, a prime Paris capitalizes on that. I don't know if this Paris could, but
this Paris hasn't been playing for a while. I mean, this is one of her first games back in about a month or so. So this is not a Paris that has been in form. She's had players being played ahead of her, younger players, less experienced players, and it just goes to show that I think LCL are going to try and become that side that will punish you if you are not up to form. And I think that it was really interesting not saying Aslani there, and I think that also proved to be a bit of a fault for them, because I think that they missed a lot of that impetus going and driving into the box, because I think that they had managed well without her in midfield. But I think, especially because they were playing a far higher line, they wanted to press more on United. But it was kind of that player that they needed to box crash, to be on the edge of the box at times, because I think that Freya Godfrey kind of needs it. I think she's whipping the ball in too much to where PTJ will be, rather than cutting it back to where Aslani will be. And unfortunately, DVD is not the player that she was 5-10 years ago, and Gioro is somewhere. I don't really know where, but she's somewhere on that pitch, and she's usually not where the goals are.
She's somewhere being the record-breaking signing that she's meant to be. This is what happens with record-breaking signings. There's just too much pressure on them. But you're 100% right. I echo everything you just said, and it shows in their form charts, because United... I mean, look, United, maybe their first back-to-back win at home all season, but look, they are pulling games together. They are putting a comprehensive case for second place. If they get second place, if you guys are third place or second place and Chelsea are fourth, I mean, this is just a weird, wonderful world.
It's just 22-23 all over again. I mean, don't worry about it.
I mean, Ishke 22-23, because I mean the rebound was crazy, and they still won it. They still wanted me to 22-23 all over again. They still won the league. Like it's 7 in a row. The monopoly is broken. They're gonna Arsenal and come fourth, but I mean, the big thing for LCL is the form drop off. Even after from Prashore to Maestra, I don't know how long does can give this manager until like, and I feel bad for Maestra because it's not his fault. Like, this is the quality of players. This is what you come up against, and ultimately he's trying things. There are patterns of play that are different to the Prashore model, especially the formation, especially the defensive structure, but the actual quality of player, the ability to sign what they need will be predicated on Michelle. And if Michelle brings in the right caliber of player that works and suits the Maestra system, then that's great. But if you don't get results, it's checks and balances, mate. And I think Eder will go if he doesn't get the category, the form charts. It keeps looking like a blood type. Like, you need greens, you need checks and balances. And right now it is just balances, and it's not enough, and it's not balancing out for them in comparison to Liverpool. I'd still say it's an admirable Liverpool performance in some ways. It wasn't as admirable as their prior performance, despite being in better form and despite drawing. I feel like that Beta Olsen game, that was the prime Beta Olsen. I mean, streets won't forget the purple patch that is Beta Olsen. But Chelsea looking a bit fresher, a bit better, answering our questions from last week. Is LJ the 9? Is LJ the player to rely on? Look, LJ pisses me off more than nearly every player in world football, and it's because she can do stuff like this. And I watch this, and look, I don't hate Lauren James. I hate how good Lauren James is when she wants to be as good as Lauren James is. And I know that's a stupid sentence and it sounds dumb, but everyone who knows Lauren James understood what I just said. And it's just the fact that you watch that goal and you think to yourself, can't you just do that more than once? Can't you do that more than once in a month? And don't get me wrong, I'm so Nuskin pilled. I want Nuskin at City. I don't care if she sits on the bench. She probably wouldn't. She'd probably play right, but she'd probably go in goal for us now. Ayama's going to the Asian Cup. But like, for me, I mean, Nuskin's going to do those box crashing runs and score goals and do her thing. But Lauren James scoring goals like that makes Serena happy. It makes England fans happy. Chelsea fans get that elation. And look at the way the players get around her. She's such a beacon of confidence for all the players.
She's a galvanizing factor,
Yeah, exactly. And if I'm Lauren James, I'd be trying to get into that position as many times as you can, and Sonia will give you the license to shoot that ball. You just gotta just take it. That's the only move you've got to be training on the training ground. Like, that's your shot. That is the most Lauren James goal that's ever Lauren James. And I want to see it more. I want to be able to say what PR says about you, like, and not be like, okay, well, Lauren James does it. When does she actually do it? Like, if she did this 4 or 5 times in a month, then I'd be able to say that Lauren James is the player that English PR and English media think she actually is. And it's kind of like Tooney. She's a proven match winner. I think Tooney does it a lot more than her, but I think from a historical standpoint, 100%.
Yeah, but I think this reminds me a lot of. Do you remember in the Euros they played France? She was completely like
isolated,
taken out of that game,
killed,
isolated. And then the next game where they played the Netherlands, she came out and just completely demolished them. And it was very similar goals, very similar.
That outside of the fort, not the outside of the fort, the open up the fort. That moment, like, you just want, like, any fan. It doesn't matter if you're an Arsenal fan. It doesn't matter if you're a Barcelona fan. It does not matter. Lauren James, edge of the box, like, the fear factor, it's not Claudia Pina, but it's very close. It's very much like, how have we let Lauren James get to that spot? That's the one spot it's a no-no. It's rule one. Get her out of that left channel where she can open up her foot. And that's what it means for Sonia, when you can finally get that player into that position.
I just think Lauren James is symbolic of this Chelsea team. When they're on, and when they're not, they look like a daisical. They look like they're not up for it, and they just basically look like a run-of-the-mill team. And I think that in this game, I didn't think that they made Liverpool look like they did in the previous game that they played against them in the cup, where it was 7-8-0, and you were thinking that the next time they played,
9-1.
9. There you go, crazy. But like, you thought that this game was going to be another blowout, but it wasn't. I think I have to commend Liverpool for their first 20 minutes. I think at times Chelsea were unable to get out of their box.
Endy nearly scored as well. I mean, that little handball touch was a bit annoying, but Enderby doing her thing win. Like, I'd count that as a win in some aspects.
It reminded me a lot of late last season, West Ham, Chelsea. I believe that was ended up a draw, but it just showed to me that these teams that are at the bottom of the ladder are building form even against the best teams. And that just proves to me if they can lose 2-0 against Chelsea, they could probably beat a team around them 2-0.
100% agree. And I mean, this is the question. You had Sam Kerr come on, had one big chance. I don't think it's a big chance, but again, it comes back to this thing, and I hate saying it, but does prime Sam Kerr bury that chance?
Yeah, obviously.
Maybe.
It's not
probably.
even a discussion.
Yeah,
it is.
And it's a shame because, like, I don't know. I want to see. I obviously don't want to see Chelsea in form, but I want to see Sam Kerr in form for probably one of the, like, this could be the opus tournament for her to not to be her best form, but just to cap off what has been a pretty incredible Tilly's run. But I don't know if she starts. I don't know if she starts on meritocracy, but she doesn't start on. No, the opposite. She starts on notoriety. Does she start over McNamara in my head if I was coaching the Matildas? Obviously. Personally, no. I would argue, I mean, again, I think she's a better player than Michelle Heyman. Michelle Heyman scoring goals for fun in the dub. She knows what it's like to just nap
Michelle
goals.
Heyman is in better form than
Sam Kerr. And it's weird, it's weird to say that, but that's the reality of the situation. And I mean, obviously Rasmussen's not going to get picked, but Rasmussen is in pretty incredible form. And there are players that are going to put their spot in the ringer to say, you know what, if Sam's not going to do it, sub her off, bring me on and see what I can do. And if I'm Holly McNamara, I am the future. Like, this is the tournament where I think it is the changing of the guard, personally.
Okay.
And then if I'm a Chelsea fan, I'd be more annoyed that Aggie Beaver-Jones is getting 8 minutes at the end of the game, because at the start of the year, Sonia trusted her. I don't know if she's fit. I don't know anything. Sonia doesn't really give much away. But personally, if you're coming up against Arsenal in a Champions League quarterfinal over 2 legs, who's going to be up front? Because Myra Ramirez is DOA. I don't know where she is.
As long gone as Kat Macario.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if she's physically checked out of the sport. Like, I don't know what's happened. I haven't seen. It's a Tyrell Malacia situation. I haven't actually seen Myra Ramirez anywhere.
No, I've seen her.
You've seen her? Okay, is she doing PR?
No, you just have to go on Twitter and you'll see where Myra Ramirez is.
All right, Slay. I'll have a gander post. Because I think Myra Ramirez could be needs to have a little resurgence, because I think we have forgotten how important she is to that cog and how important she was to last season's success. But if I'm a Chelsea fan, a lot of people will say that ABJ. I've heard a lot of them saying that ABJ should start in those quarterfinals, and I don't really disagree. I think LJ's better isolated on the wings, giving her space to do that cut inside, what that means for JRK or Baltimore, or if Niamh Charles is starting, I don't know. Personally, if I want Arsenal to win, I'd want Niamh Charles starting. No, I'm not that horrible. I feel bad. I feel bad for my Niamh Charles slander. You know what? I don't feel bad for my Niamh Charles slander. She is a 2-time Euros winner. You can cop a little bit of criticism. You are a good player. You're just not the player that Chelsea fans think you are.
One of the best penalties I've seen in a Euro final.
Wara the penalty merchants. Her and Courtney Vine can have a little club of penalty merchants. But we'll go around the grounds. Villa v Spurs, a 10-goal thriller split, 7-3. Thriller, I mean, 7-3. It's not a scoreline you see quite often, but, I mean, we had a conversation last week. Is it Roebuck? Is it D'Angelo? No, it's Villa. It's Arroyo. It's Arroyo. It's an Arroyo problem. Yeah. What is happening? What were they doing? Patton just got called up to England, and I'm watching her drop her all-timer stinkers, but my God, this game, I mean, I don't even want to go through all the goals. We could, but we'd be here all day. But shout out to Hansen for her brace, to be fair. She took her chance as well.
Shout out to Gorpset, really.
Gorpset started well, created chance as well. Yeah. That's probably her best game in a Spurs top. Hamano, very good off the bench. I'd say Tanberg looks quite back. I would be playing her. I think she might be this is the resurgence, because she was starting at the start of the year and had a very good start, and Martin Ho is very bullish on her, so I think Tanberg will have her moment. Blackstad also doing her job at the end of the game for the 7th goal. But I mean, there was so many deflections, there were so many bounces off goalkeepers. This was, I mean, again, nearly similar goals to the Zambia Tillies game.
Have
but
you
it gave that vibe again. Like it was one of those games.
Have you ever played that like App Store game where it's like that you bobble the heads into the goals?
Head soccer. You're talking about head soccer. This is head soccer.
What this game was. This to me was. I mean, the Spurs haven't scored this many goals since like 2020, right, against Brighton.
Are you saying you know when Tanberg does her power shot? You know in head soccer where you can do your like power shot.
Yes,
Tanberg just hits that rocket. I was like, whoa, that's football right there. That was unbelievable. Yes. But the rest of the game is just bobbly. Oh, it was such a shambles game. Oh my god.
No, Spurs haven't scored this many goals since 2022 in October 2022 against Brighton. They won 8-0.
8-0.
And I remember at that time I was surprised. Going into this game, I was watching the United game at the same time. And I think the commentators were commentating more about how crazy that game was.
Because we've complained.
The actual game they're watching.
We've complained so many times that they don't do goal rush, but now they're doing that little thing where they're saying, "Oh, little update, that this other team scored every 5 minutes." Every 5 minutes there was a fucking goal in this game, and every time one team scored, they'd cut over, and the other team had scored already. Like it wasn't like it was spread out across the game. It was goal. Break. Go. Break. Go. It was ridiculous. The response, like, no one could settle after a kickoff. Like, it was such a shambles of a game. But, look, I do feel bad for Roebuck because I know that's not her level. But
I don't feel bad for it. 17 goals in 4 games. I do not feel bad for a player.
That's
I don't
fair,
care about the defensive.
I mean, when you say it like that, it's not good enough.
It's
not good enough. And, like, the chances she was copying, I mean, the Olivia Holt's goal, that was the one she definitely should have saved. Yeah, but the ones where it bobbles off and deflects, I can't like I can say yes, it would be amazing if you saved that, but that's just Arroyo needs to put in the work.
She looks like a Sunday league like bench warmer who the goalkeeper hasn't turned up to the game and they still have the goalkeeper kit in the kit bag and they're like, shit, we have to give someone the goals, and she's just being given goals and she has absolutely no idea what to do. She's like forgotten that she can catch balls. She's forgotten to be able to kick a ball. Like it's just woeful.
And you know who Villa have this week? They have us. So, look, they've got to get their defensive act together because if not, their 3 at the back are going to get 3 up fronted. And I think if we can get 6 past Leicester, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to get 6 or more past Villa. We will move to the last game in the WSL. The complete antithesis, the team that actually knows how to defend the best in the league. I'm not even going to lie. I was Sorensen pilled and I did love the hat, but I am now bald pilled. I need a bald cap for Scott Phelan, man. This guy is unbelievable. 1-0 Phelan is how I'm feeling right now. Like, this guy has it all. Everton, when they score, never look like conceding a goal. It is ridiculous. Ruby Mace, I feel sorry for you not getting a call up. That's how good you are. You are. Did you see that defensive effort in that game to stop that ball on the line was ridiculous. Brosnan, unbelievable. Blundell leaves United, keeps her form. I mean, that's where Blundell should be, to be honest. I rate Blundell at Everton. It's a very, like, WOSO, Ashley Young move. She's done her prime at United. She's moved over. She's going to do her thing.
Bit of a Danny Welbeck situation.
Danny Welbeck, yeah. It's all those that prime guard, that Fergie end of Fergie guard that's moved over. Like, this is the new age. Like, and I think that Everton will benefit off having that experience. But after the goal, I mean, look, to be honest, I'm a bit disappointed in Guarino. I thought they'd kind of turned a corner, West Ham. But this defending, especially for that goal, for Hayashi's goal, was very Rhiannon Skinner, West Ham. That ball should never be allowed across the box. It was slow. It wasn't technical. It just found its way through. It was a bit of a Chariots of Fire goal, slow motion. But the Phelanball is hard to break down. And West Ham just didn't put enough pressure on them. I think... Look, I'd be changing countries if I'm Ruby Mace, personally. My God, the performances she's put in since probably pretty much the turn of the year, but even before that, like, she's done more than enough to earn her place. And I understand playing for Everton's different to I don't know, like, okay, you might not get in over Wub and Moy, but Fisk is in there, Patton's
No,
in
I
there.
disagree.
Like,
And we had Ruby Mace at one in a lifetime
true.
ago. We had Ruby Mace.
Yeah.
But I would honestly, there is the discussion to have her in a top four side
Yeah.
easily starting.
Yeah.
I just think her, but I think specifically her partnership in centre back with Fernandez, it's something that is undeniably one of the best in the league. But because they play for Everton, it becomes trumped by the likes of Kanak and the likes of Jade Rose and we have ours as well and obviously Chelsea, but
Brighton and Bjorn
yeah.
and like you'd say of the pack, they probably have the best defensive partnership of the WSL pack, and then you could argue they're ahead of the Tottenhams and on par, I'd say just behind United. I think when Janssen and MLT are fit, I think they are better. But look, if I'm Ruby Mace, the question is, do you want to play 90 minutes every week, or do you want to be a part of a team that's going to win every trophy? And I think, look, I would love Ruby Mace as cover at Manchester City. I think United would love Ruby Mace to play for them or as cover. I think Chelsea wouldn't say no to a Ruby Mace, but also they do have Gurma, and I think you guys you're such loyalists. You love Cody, you love Wub and Moy. I mean, a lot of
we're never getting rid of Cody.
Yeah, exactly. You'll never. Exactly. So for me, it's either City or United, and I don't know what Ruby Mace wants, but I would love her as the second off the bench as a centre back. If Kanak goes down, which we know she's injury prone, Ruby Mace, I would be so safe. I'd be so comfortable knowing that Ruby Mace can come in and do a business. Or you can rotate all three, because that's how good she actually is. And I think she's got more levels to her. And I think eventually she'll start for England. I think she will. I think there is a world where it's her and it's, I don't know if it's Greenwood's on the left. I think she's just moved to the left. I think she's just
I think it's her and Kate. There's a reality.
It's going to be her and Katie Reid.
Reid.
Exactly right. And that's not a bad look at all. And I hope that it's a consideration, because Fisk is also good, but I need to see more from it from a longevity perspective in comparison to Mace. But we are done with the WSL.